Have you ever stopped to wonder why we make the choices we do, in modern life?
Hmm.
Like, why do we often just assume the most expensive thing is automatically the best?
Right. Or why does making money seem to top the list when you ask someone, say, why they're getting an education, often above, learning itself?
Exactly. It's those kinds of questions. And they seem simple, but actually they point to something really profound, don't they?
Yeah.
A huge shift in, well, Western civilization.
A really fundamental one. How our deepest anxieties, our sense of worth, how it all shifted from being centered on God, on the divine, to something much more, well, tangible.
Money.
Money, yeah.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. This is the deep dive. And our mission here is to sort of unpack that surprising journey, historical, psychological. How did money go from just being, a tool for exchange
Simple medium.
to becoming this universal yardstick for human value,
Yeah.
almost replacing God as a source of certainty?
It's a huge transformation.
And for this deep dive, we're drawing on some really fascinating insights, especially from Professor Jiang Wukin's work, from divine predestination to economic destiny, the rise of money. So let's start unpacking it, where we begin.
Well, I think to really grasp the change, you have to look back. Picture early Western civilization. God wasn't just like a Sunday thing.
No, it was everything.
Everything, the absolute core, morally, psychologically, it defined existence. Faith gave you cosmic order, meaning community. It wasn't just about saving your soul. It was about how the whole world worked.
And the church was central to that, providing all the
Yeah.
scaffolding.
Exactly. The structure, rituals, hierarchy, a shared set of beliefs, orthodoxy. You didn't have to wrestle with it
You
alone.
belonged, you believed, you obeyed, you trusted the institution. There was a kind of certainty there, wasn't there? Even if life was hard.
A profound sense of certainty. But then, bang, the 16th century, Protestantism arrives.
Luther.
Luther and others. And they basically shattered the church's monopoly on, well, on God, essentially, on spiritual authority.
And suddenly faith becomes personal, internal.
Deeply personal. It's not about the priest or the ritual anymore. It's about your inner state, your direct relationship with God.
Which must have made God feel further away, more abstract.
Very much so, almost ungraspable, because salvation now depended on something you couldn't see or touch, the authenticity of your private belief.
Okay, but then comes the really tough part, the doctrine you mentioned, double predestination. That sounds intense.
Oh, it was terrifying for people.
Mhm.
The core idea was God already knows. Before you were even born, he'd already decided who was saved and who was damned.
And nothing you did could change it.
Nothing. Your fate was sealed. Imagine living with that. It created this entirely new kind of anxiety, deeply psychological, constant, and utterly private.
Wow.
Professor Zhang Huiqin really highlights this, how internalizing faith like that created this huge void, this immense pressure. How do you prove you're worthy to a God who doesn't speak back?
You're just alone with that question.
Completely. Wrestling with, am I saved? Is my faith real? Trying to believe in concepts like the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, which was described as, nothing yet everything. A mystery demanding belief, but impossible to fully grasp.
So this immense unanswerable Christian hanging over everyone.
Yeah.
An invisible judgment. It sounds like people needed something visible, something measurable to cling on to.
Exactly. That internal crisis practically screamed for an external answer. And Western society sort of collectively started to develop a new tool to manage that pressure, a new source of certainty.
Which was?
Money.
Okay.
Think about the contrast. Faith, grace, invisible, abstract. Money, you can see it, you can count it,
You can pile it up.
you can store it, compare yours to your neighbor's. It offered a kind of tangible reassurance that faith couldn't. And slowly, almost without anyone noticing consciously at first, money started shifting
For just being a tool.
to becoming this powerful, universal way to measure not just goods, but people, human value, even subtly moral standing.
Okay, so how did that actually play out? If money's the new judge, what did it look like in everyday life? Did people start saying, oh, he's rich, he must be saved?
It wasn't usually that explicit, more of a quiet, creeping conflation. But yes, the underlying logic started to form. If you accumulated wealth, it began to be seen as a sign.
A sign of what?
Well, that you were blessed, maybe. That you were hardworking, rational, disciplined, and implicitly, yeah, maybe one of the elect.
And the flip side, poverty meant.
Laziness, irresponsibility, maybe even a kind of moral failing. It sounds harsh now, but it offered this weird psychological comfort.
How so?
It provided a potential answer to that nagging anxiety.
Yeah.
How do I know if my faith is real? How do I know if I'm chosen? Well, look at my success, look at my wealth. Surely that means I'm doing something right. I must be chosen.
So money becomes this, like a secular proof of divine favor.
A psychological crutch, exactly. A way to manage that unbearable uncertainty.
And this wasn't just a passing phase. This mindset over generations, it solidifies
That's
into...
to capitalism, right? Precisely. It hardens into an entire economic and moral system. And what's really striking, as the source material points out, is that never before had a civilization treated the endless accumulation of money as, like, a positive moral goal in itself.
That's a key point. Because previous societies, even wealthy ones, didn't see hoarding money as the main goal.
Quite the opposite, often. Think about classical societies like Rome. If you were rich, the expectation was you'd spend it lavishly. On public works, feasts, your duties, it was about honor, social standing through generosity.
Like Julius Caesar dividing up his wealth.
Exactly. That was seen as virtuous, but this new Protestant-influenced ethic flipped that completely. Hoarding wealth wasn't a vice anymore.
It became a virtue.
Yes. Saving, thrift, reinvesting to make more money, that became the righteous path. Spending was seen as potentially wasteful, frivolous. Wealth wasn't meant to be just circulated for social good. It was meant to be compounded, accumulated, almost like a religious duty.
That's a profound shift in thinking. And Professor Jiang notes, this didn't happen quickly, it was slow, over centuries. But now, it seems to define everything.
It really does. The logic is embedded everywhere. Think about that example you gave earlier, students going to school.
And make money.
Not primarily to learn or to build society or to explore ideas. The default answer, the underlying assumption, is economic. Our life choices are fundamentally shaped by that economic logic now.
It's like money didn't just become important, it actually reshaped how we even perceive reality, how we assign value.
Absolutely. It simplifies things, systematizes them, it centralizes value around a single metric. That wine experiment illustrates it perfectly.
Right, the one where people taste wine without labels.
Yeah. Give people 3 glasses, unlabeled, maybe cheap, mid-range, expensive. Most can't reliably tell you which is best based on taste alone. There's doubt, subjectivity.
But then you add price tags.
Put on a $5, a $50, and a $100 tag. Suddenly, almost everyone agrees the $100 wine is the best. It tastes better, feels more luxurious.
Even if it's the same wine as the $5 bottle in a different test.
Exactly. The price tag dictates the perceived value. Money eliminates the doubt. It imposes order. It tells us what's good. It's become a new kind of orthodoxy, a system of belief we don't even question most of the time.
Yancy, kind of chilling when you put it like that. Does that original anxiety, that predestination worry, still echo today, even if we're not explicitly religious in how we view success?
I think it absolutely does. The underlying logic of double predestination, that some are chosen and some aren't, seems to persist, just secularized.
How so?
Well, we might not talk about God's elect anymore, but we often act as if the materially successful are superior. They're the chosen ones in this new system. They're seen as inherently more deserving, smarter, better.
You see that in the way society sometimes talks about, say, billionaires.
Definitely. Look at the kind of reverence directed towards figures like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. It often goes beyond respecting their business achievements. They become almost guru-like figures.
As if their wealth automatically equals wisdom.
Right. And conversely, poverty is often still implicitly linked to personal failure, lack of effort, maybe even a lack of intelligence or worth. It's the old predestination anxiety dressed up in economic clothes.
So replacing God with money wasn't just an economic shift. It sounds like it fundamentally rewired, well, the soul of civilization.
That's a good way to put it. Church rituals kind of morphed into market rituals. The gospel of salvation became the gospel of success. What started as maybe a coping mechanism for this deep spiritual dread
Turned into a whole worldview.
a total worldview, governing education, politics, relationships, how we feel about ourselves deep down, our inner worth.
But did it work? Did replacing God with money actually solve the original problem? Did it get rid of the anxiety?
Well, that's the crucial point, isn't it? The anxiety didn't disappear. It just changed its focus.
How do you mean?
Because money ultimately is still a symbol. Just like God, in a way, represented something vast and abstract. Money promises certainty, meaning, value. It gives us numbers, rankings, clarity. But it doesn't necessarily deliver genuine intimacy, deep connection, or that sense of, spiritual fulfillment. We tried to escape the terror of not knowing if we were saved.
By building a world we could measure and control. Possessions, status, numbers.
Exactly. We built this vast, complex system based on economic value. But often it leaves people feeling hollow, spiritually empty, even if they're successful by the system's standards.
So money replaced God as the central organizing principle.
But it didn't redeem us. It didn't necessarily make us happier or more fulfilled. It just changed the terms of our struggle, the terms of our suffering.
Wow. So we've traced this incredible, almost hidden journey, how these deep questions about worth, about certainty, got tangled up with economics, shifting from God to money over centuries.
The fundamental reorientation of Western thought and values.
And that really leaves us with a powerful question to ponder, doesn't it? If money hasn't ultimately filled that void, if that underlying anxiety persists even in our secular, market-driven world, then what's next? What other ways of measuring value, what new understandings might we need to cultivate to find, genuine meaning, to maybe escape that spiritual hollowness in a world so fixated on accumulation?
That's the big question, isn't it?